Good morning, Tara. Hey there. Oh, not sure if you've connected yet. Hang on. There we go. Hey there. Good morning. Oh, let's see. You're still muted.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry.
How you
Thought I
doing?
had unmuted. I hit join so I could hear you, but you couldn't hear me.
That's all right. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Let's see if we have anybody else join in the next minute. I have been like Zoom to Zoom to Zoom to Zoom to Zoom to Zoom this morning. How's your Friday going?
Good.
Oh, there's
Wrapping up a bunch of stuff so I can have a fun weekend, maybe.
Good. Good. There's Debbie joining. Let's see.
Yes.
Let's her get connected. Hey, Debbie. Oh, let's see. Still connecting. Hey, hey.
Video was on or was not on, and I was like,
I know there's always like this little bit of a delay, right? Like this little bit. Well, happy Friday, ladies. We'll see if anybody else pops on. I feel like it's been all day already. I'm like, it's just been, I've been going a mile a minute since very early this morning, and I've got several more calls still left to go. I'm like, whew, it's been a very busy last couple of weeks for me with calls. It's just like I told my husband this morning, I was like, I can't remember the last day that wasn't a Saturday or Sunday, and even some of those days that I wasn't actually on a Zoom. I was like, just like, I can remember there were times when I didn't have Zooms, but nope, not lately. So welcome to Systems with Selina on this Friday. Okay, so Debbie, you were on the last Free Friday coaching call. Tara, were you on our Free Friday coaching call with Rick?
I don't know. I was not.
No. Okay, so Debbie, do you want to give what did you think? We had TikTok sensations, the baby boomers on. Bless you, Tara.
Thank you.
they were hilarious.
They're fun. They're fun, aren't they?
Yeah. It was kind of like a lot of wah.
I know. I got off and I said, my husband goes, how did it go? I was like, well, let's see. It's Rick who's an I, and Cheryl who's an I, and Beth who's a high I. And I was like, and I'm like a -12 I. So I was like, I got off and I was like, I need a nap.
Rick was like, okay, stop talking.
Yeah. There's a lot of I. So Tara, we had on very good friends of Rick and Casey's, and I know Beth very well because her husband is also a master coach with Workman Success. They are called the baby boomers in TikTok, and they have over 604,000 followers on TikTok. And they are in their 60s, and they have been dancers and actresses for years, and they become wildly popular on TikTok, and they get up every day and they do a little dance to, a popular song and post it. And they've been on Dr. Phil, and they've been on like Mario, but they've been on like all kinds of things and become incredibly popular. And we had them on to really talk about what that looked like and how that was built, and the key of consistency in having to do it and build it. So really been thinking a lot about them just months, and actually probably for the past year, and so Rick brought them on because he was actually in his RV last week with Paul and Beth, and really talking with them about what it takes to build something like that and how much time and planning it takes to do it. And I had been talking to Rick about trying to build something up for him on TikTok, and like what that would look like for not only recruiting but production, and what all you have to put into it. Right. And so Debbie, any takeaways for you from the?
Well, I'm a student of Krista Mayshore coaching.
Yep.
So
Yes.
some of it I already kind of knew from her coaching program. But I mean, I haven't gotten into the nitty gritty of posting on, I don't post on TikTok. And I probably should, but I've found it to be just another thing,
Yeah.
And I felt pressured to perform on it more so than doing a listing video or something like that. So that pressure to perform was really not my style. I'm a little more shy, believe it or not. And I'm okay with being on video. That's not my hang up, but I know it is for a lot of people. But mine was more like, I felt like I had to dance or do something fun or creative or goofy or whatever. And I was like, okay, if I do it naturally, that's one thing. Like I remember at an open house, this was before COVID, at an open house, I baked cookies because the smell of baking cookies is so inviting and enticing to a buyer, right? So I was at an open house and I named myself Debbie Crocker. And I had a little apron on that matched my outfit and everything. And I did a quick little, I mean, just a little like selfie type video. And I got more responses from that video just doing something. And so probably that could have been a TikTok because it was less than a minute.
Yeah.
But I feel like on TikTok, I have to perform. So I haven't really opened my mind to that lane of social media.
So it's interesting. I've been doing some research on it because I've often felt the same way. Like there's so much belief behind it that you have to have your face on it, right? And now there's this whole other side of it that it's not necessary. There's a whole side of it that a lot of people are wildly successful with never showing their face and possibly even no voice, right? And that instead it's about the messaging that's coming across. And a lot of times it has more to do with the hashtags that are being used. And a lot of times the words that are being used are actually placed behind whatever image is on the TikTok. So you're not even seeing it, but that's what's actually being searched. So you might be putting something up on the screen that you are seeing, but the word that's being searched in the search bar is behind whatever is actually on the screen. It's fascinating to me. I'm still researching all of this. And people are not showing their face or even utilizing their voice, and it might be whatever is just popping up on the screen based on search features. So a lot of people were not doing it because they thought they had to show up on screen. And my research a couple of weeks ago went one step further, and this is what I've been working on, and it's creepy and yet fun and fascinating at the same time. So now with AI, people are building AI, what's the term for it? So I actually built one. I haven't used it yet. AI, what's it called? Avatars. So I built an avatar of myself, and it looks like it's a 3D sort of Pixar version of Selina.
Like a superhero.
Like it's not a superhero, but it looks kind of like, I look sort of like I'm from Tangled / whatever. Kind of got, but it's like a Pixar version, and you create it. And then you also develop your speech synthesizer that sounds like me. And then I create the verbiage and it speaks like me, and it makes the mouth move. So my Pixar version of me moves, and it's not my actual face. So there's a couple reasons for that, right? Because you don't necessarily want your face all over everything, right? So there's some people who don't like that. But it becomes less about your face and it becomes more about the message.
Right.
That gets out. So I was like, oh, I'm going to try this and let me see how this works, because there's a lot of people putting messaging out there, and they're like, instead of it being one particular person's face, it's more about the message that's being put out. It's taking me a little bit of work. It's like I had to get my 12-year-old involved because I was like, I cannot figure out how to do this Pixar thing on Mid-Journey and like Discord and like all this. Like I tried, it said it would take 15 minutes to do it, and 3 hours later I was still trying to figure it out. And then I know. And then my 12-year-old came over and he was like, and then he was done. And I was like,
of course.
I've been.
Where did you go to build that?
Mid-Journey. And I can send you the link, for the TikTok video that I found that said how to kind of do all those things. And so, but again, this leads me back to what she was saying. I said, okay, I've started here with like what that looks like, but then you have to have content. And then you have to consistently put something out there, right? Now that's the benefit of Chat GPT. I can pop in there and say, develop content for 30 days of like, give me, give me talking points and design it for, 30 seconds worth of content for 5 days in a row and whatever. And it can spit out all kinds of stuff for me. And then I could just copy and paste it into that voice synthesizer and it'll create it. And then it does all that for me. I just haven't committed to doing it yet, but I want to, right? So it kind of gets back to what she said. Now, the other side of that is, and I'll share this with you because this has been extremely good, and I'm in the midst of trying to get this implemented, but we're working on hiring a new VA that would be able to help with this, is we do have content. Like something like today from Rick's Free Friday coaching call, or these types of things, or the class I just taught. So we have hundreds and probably thousands of hours of content that we post in our YouTube. Now, who was it who shared it with me? Oh, I was interviewed by Richard Pobra in our organization for a podcast. And I didn't know, unbeknownst to me, at the end of the podcast, he sent me a link and he said, oh, here are a bunch of clips from today that I want you to use for your social media. And I was like, how did you do that? He sent me 20 clips already pre-done. It was short clips and it already had all of the verbiage pre-typed with emojis that were popping up on the screen of everything I was saying. And they were all these short little bursts. And I said, how did you do that? And it was like, oh, you're muted, Debbie, unmute.
There's an AI thing for
You did.
video. There's I got like 7 different AI type tools to help you like make longer videos into short little clips and all of that.
I use it now. I use it. So I got it he gave it to me, and then they announced it at Build too. Someone he had it at Build. It's called Opus AI. It's incredible. I use it for every one of our things now. And I'm building assets, content, and I'm keeping it all in one Google Drive. So basically when we finish a YouTube, I take whatever video that we have and I post it into YouTube because we do that for all of our stuff anyway. I load it up, and what it does is you put the YouTube link in there. AI takes it. You can put how long you'd like the links to be, the little individual things, or you can say that you'd like it to figure it out on its own based on the content. And then you put kind of the keywords, like for instance, like I'm teaching the class that I've been teaching, right? And it's about production and activating and getting, so I will put kind of what the purpose of the call was. And then it takes a while. It listens to everything that's being said in the video. And then it generates little clips of like what's in there. And then it puts the words, and if it's like fire emojis, or, if you're talking about time blocking, it puts like pictures of clocks on there. And then here's what's really awesome. It posts a virality score to show you how viral that video would potentially be if you posted it out there on social media, based on what it feels, how powerful the content of what you said.
So does that have to do with like keywords and whatever it is you're speaking
whatever
about?
It is that you're speaking about. So it'll tell you 96% virality score or a 70% virality score. So, and then it names the video for you, like based on whatever it is that you're speaking about. So for me, it's not like I'm having to go through and watch every little one when I'm thinking about what I want to post. So when I download them and I put them into our Google Drive, I have like what they're called, what they're about. So what I'm doing right now is building a massive amount of content so that when the time comes and I want to do this, I have it where I can just pick and choose, like this day we're posting this and this day we're posting this. And I have all these things to put in TikTok or Reels or, whatever it is. And I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours, in our YouTube channel. But now as we're starting to build things, and so as I'm dealing with my coaching clients right now, they're like, oh, I don't have time to do this. I said, look, sit down, record yourself on Zoom and say, I'm going to do a new home buyer seminar, but I'm just going to speak about it, and then upload the video so that now you have little clips that would get people out there. The whole point behind them is to get them back to something, right? That clip is to bring them into a bigger YouTube channel or into your actual website to get them to see what their home value is worth. If you're recruiting, it's to get them to your website to book an appointment for a consultation with you. Like everything is to pull them in. The little clip is just to get them to somewhere bigger. right? So
Yeah.
record yourself doing some big presentation of some kind, talking about, you know, what the market is doing right now, whatever it is, and then take that big thing, dump it into Opus AI, let it pull out the little 15, 30-second clips that make it powerful for you to go out and be more consistent. This is what Burl Workman, who owns Workman Success, where I work, he has an entire studio built in his office. But when he does all of his stuff that he pushes out, you walk up to the studio, it's a room, right? But outside of it is like 4 different blazers and 3 different shirts and like 4 different ties. And he'll go in one day and he just changes out his shirt and his blazers, right? But he records all of them in one day. And so everyone's, you know, you don't realize it, but behind me. So I just bought it and I used it last week when I was teaching Activate. Here, wait, don't move.
That's called batch recording. And I learned that in Krista's coaching program. You do batch recording and you have your wardrobe already ready to go. Is that your name? Oh.
That's a screen. You know, and I was like, that was like $200, and that's how it pops up out of my floor, right? So that now I have this amazing background, so that if I want to put market stats behind me or whatever, whenever I'm talking on Zoom, right? I've got this now very clean, whatever, you know, behind me to do it. And it folds right back into this little tiny thing that sits behind my chair on the floor, you know, and like, I've got all these lights and whatever here, but yeah, batch recording, that's it. And everyone says, God, Selina, I don't have the time to record every day. And I'm like, I'm not asking you to record every day. Right. I think that's the difficulty with what the baby boomers were doing, was like, they have to get up every day for the most part. And like, but they're not, you can see they can change out their outfits and they can do it. But you could take a weekend and say, I'm going to change my outfit, I'm going to change my hairstyle or whatever it is. I'm going to record as much as possible, throw it into something like Opus AI, get 30, 60, 90 clips out of there, and say, then use something like Hootsuite or Metricool or whatever it is, and put all of those things into all of those days. And now you've got 30, 60, 90 days of content that you know without a doubt is the keys in the consistency.
Right.
And that's where everyone drops the ball. They'll post and then it'll be 4 days before they post again. Well, you've already lost them.
Yeah.
You know, 4 days is too long. So that was really, there was a lot of talking on the thing, but I was like, can we please just come back to the consistency? Because that's where the key is.
That's something that I found. If I can't do video, I at least do some kind of post with some kind of graphic, right?
Yeah.
At least do something. And what I've also noticed, and this is from Krista's coaching program too, is even using Ripple to do, like, if I have a listing, to post like 10 photos of the new listing, and it does the little 15-second video. And it's basically a slideshow of all the, you can do a Ripple in like 10 seconds. Like, they take no time at all. Use ChatGPT for your Facebook ad copy, which I've been doing. I did, before I got hacked, I had the most amazing like 2 months of social media content. And now I have to create a whole new Facebook business page. Yeah. So all that 8 years of stuff that I've done, it's still there, but I have to create a whole new page. But so using ChatGPT for your Facebook ad copy when you're not in the actual video and it's more of a slideshow type deal, or like I did, like, here's 6 I even did ChatGPT. I was like, give me 6 tips for summertime entertaining. And so it was like the 6 things. And then I was like, okay, create Facebook ad copy for each tip.
Yeah.
So you can do all kinds of stuff with the AI tools that are out there. And so I had 6 Facebook ad copy things ready to go. And I used it because of I use Corfact to do all of my postcards.
Yeah.
And they had in their socials share series, they had a summertime entertaining, and it was these 6 different things. So I put the 6 things in and I was like, give me Facebook ad copy for all 6 things. So I had the image already from Corfact social share, and I did it that way if I wasn't going to be in a video, because you have to mix up some video with some green screen with some, organic. And like the gals were saying today, sometimes the most reacted to videos are the ones where you think you look horrific. The ones where you're more real and less like posed are the ones that get the most traffic. Like my Debbie Crocker one is cheesy as all hell, but Debbie Crocker, I had my little apron on and everything, and I was flipping cookies in the stupid thing. I mean, it was dumb. I didn't even have anything to put my phone on. I just was holding it like a dork, but I mean, that's what I had. So that's what I did. And I got so many responses from it. And I'm like, well, come by and have some because nobody's here. And I'll eat all these cookies.
Tara, are you doing anything like this?
No, like I said before, I'm more I just started a couple months ago, and I'm not really doing any of the selling or anything. I'm, more on the operations side. So we are looking into getting into the more Facebooks and TikToks and things like that. So I've been doing some research. I haven't gotten much into TikTok yet, so but we do want to. And it's funny you said you talk to your 12-year-old, because I was going to talk to my 15 and 16-year-olds and ask them for help.
Oh yeah, they're just smarter than me now.
I know.
My boyfriend does that all the time. He's like, he grabs his daughter. He's like, hey, I need you to do this for me. Take a picture of this and post it on my this, or whatever. And she'll come and do it. She takes great photos. Like she does stuff from different angles, because he was selling wellness products. So he wanted to have like pictures of the products that weren't like generated from the company. He wanted more organic ones, and she would take great photos for him. He never wanted to be in any of the videos or photos, but the product she would take photos of, and then she'd post it, and he'd put like whatever ad copy, because she was like 12 at the time.
My son did we created the logo for Activate when I started, designing the class, and I was like, oh, we need a new logo for this class. He designed it. Like I was coming up with the different stuff, and Casey was like, oh, send me a couple of different options of what you're thinking about. And I was coming up with a couple, and he came in and saw me, and he goes, oh, can I try? And he's 12 and he's in Canva all the time because he loves it. And I was like, sure. And so he created a couple, and I sent it to Casey, and she was like, I love this one. And I was like, congratulations, Nico. I was like, why are we not using you more often? Right. I mean, all of my kids have worked for me in real estate. Every single one of them at one point. They've been sign runners and everything under the sun. But sometimes in technology today, they're using it before we are in some cases, right? And there you see the key and the consistency in what that looks like. So what was I watching the other day? Someone said, what did she call it? There's some status that you get when you Snapchat with someone for so many days in a row, and I forget what it's called. And she was so proud to say that she had snapped with her son, her teenage son, for 150 days in a row.
Your streaks.
Streaks. That's what it's called, a streak. Yep. And she's like, I'm so proud of it because my son is willing to do that with me. And I was like, well, how impactful is that, right? To utilize social media in that way. And, someone said the other day, they're like, really, you care about TikTok for work? And I said, there's a whole side of people who are on TikTok and not Insta, and people who are on Insta and not on Facebook. And there are people who are not on any of those. But if we don't do a little on each, then we're leaving behind a whole group of people who are out there. Right. And so I was shocked because I said, okay, I've got to kind of look at this. And so I started in the search feature of TikTok, and I thought, well, let me just see what's out there. Right. So I started with agent recruiting. So the first thing I did was I went to the search feature, and I was like, starting out in real estate. And that's all I searched. Holy moly. I was like, there's people out there really doing a great job at agent recruiting. Several of them EXP people. Okay. So I was like, Mike Sherrard, he's out there. I'm pleasantly surprised to see people in our own organization out there. So I send them little kudos when I see it. I'm like, great job, killing it, whatever it is. But I'm like, they are really doing a great job, and they're getting a lot of followers that way. And they're not overdoing it. They're not overthinking it. It's very quick little stuff in the car or whenever they're out. They're just sharing a little bit. And then I started there, and I was like, okay, This is definitely being used in this way. Then I was like, asking questions as a seller. Is now a good time to sell? Holy crap. There's a ton of stuff out there. And I was like, that's it. We're really falling short if we're not putting stuff out there, because people are very obviously doing this. It's wildly searched. Is it too hard to find a house to buy right now? Are the interest rates too high for me to buy right now? These are search features being used in TikTok. So if I'm putting it in there and finding that many videos on it, that means there are that many people out there searching the same thing, and people posting because there are that many people out there posting the same thing. So why am I not taking advantage of that opportunity? And the key to that then is you have to put, that's got to be your hashtags, right? You got to put the content out there and answer it. So when I said it to Rick the other day, I was like, we're like way behind. We're like way behind. But again, it's the consistency in doing it. But it's totally possible now with what we were just talking about. Like, you just pre-record a bunch of stuff, you put it out there. I definitely want to hire a VA to help with that. You know, I'm on the hunt right now because I'm like, I just don't have the time to learn about SEO and ClickFunnels. And I mean, seriously, I got like enough on my plate. I'm like, I don't have a problem with like figuring out the content maybe and like developing a roadmap for it. But I was like, 3 hours of figuring out that whole Midjourney thing the other day. I was like, I need somebody that's their whole, like, that's your jam. That's what you want to figure out. But I think there's definitely a place that we need to be thinking about that. And we're leaving behind a whole group of people if we aren't thinking about it, right? And developing a strategy around it. So I've been really processing it a lot lately, because people will be like, well, why aren't you on this format? And why aren't you on that format? And when we have tools like Hootsuite or Metricool that allow us to post on all of them all at once, right? You can create one piece of content and shoot it out there. I'm like, why are we not thinking this through? And it's sometimes it's age and sometimes it's not. I mean, look at them this morning, Debbie. They're in their 60s and they're incredibly popular on TikTok. So you can't say TikTok's only for young people, because it's certainly not. You know, I'm 46.
And how long did they say that took them to get up and going? And
when did they say they started?
I think it was to get started, I think it took only like 3 days.
3 days.
It was like a discovery, and then it was like, okay, well, let's do it. And then it was like 3 days later they were doing it.
Yeah. So they got the name purely by accident by being part of something that at the Grammys, right? It was the Grammys.
Yeah.
And they got invited to do something, and then somebody gave them the name sort of inadvertently, and they thought, oh, let's do something with that, and 3 days later, you know.
Well, I'm surprised DaBaby's lyrics were clean.
I don't know.
I don't think he's the most
clean rapper,
vernacularly clean rapper. I don't think.
And they're in their 60s, and it's like, but 604,000 followers. They've had videos with 9.5 million likes.
And how funny that Trevor Noah came up with their name.
Yeah. Insane. And so it's like, some people will say, oh, well, I don't do that because of the age group. And I'm like, you cannot generalize who's on these things, right? There are people from all different age groups in each one of these things. And we leave behind buyers and sellers, and we leave behind potential recruits. And we just have to always be learning, right? And that's one thing that whenever I went to build and I was writing down all these things that people are using, and sometimes I feel a little weird about social media, because sometimes I feel like it's throwing spaghetti against the wall and you're just trying to see what sticks. But when you have consistency in it, and you have the ability to create a level of followers, because it's so big. 604,000 followers is massive. Okay. And they make a ton of money off of what they do now, because now they're getting paid to do videos that involve, Pringles, like they're holding Pringles in the thing, and like they're getting paid for stuff like that. But when you have 604,000 people following what you're doing, then you have a lot of eyes on you, right? So if you start to grow that and you think about utilizing it from an agent attraction standpoint, or if you become like the person who speaks about Fremont and you think about everyone in Fremont is now watching you and you're talking about the market and you're talking about buying and selling and you become the person that's talking about Fremont, then when people are searching about Fremont and buying or selling there, like they're going to call you because that you're the expert in Fremont. That's going to become known when you start to have thousands and thousands and thousands of people doing that. And the ultimate goal being maybe to push them to your YouTube channel where maybe you are showing how many houses you sell in Fremont or whatever that is, right? So it's, again, it's a system though. I mean, it's literally a system. I mean, that's what I did the other day was I went and bought 11 by 17 paper and I printed out big months of the calendar. And I was like, all right, I took a pencil and I was like, here's what I would post on this day. Here's what I would post on this day. Here's what I would post on that day. Because for me, I need to see it visually. Right. So I just started filling it in and I was like, all right, here's like, if I was to just start filling it in, this is what that would look like. And it was actually getting a lot faster for me to kind of start realizing that strategy wise, I had one. And I was like, just filling in the blanks and filling in the blanks. And I was like, all right, okay, this is possible. Right. And then I'll fill in like, okay, we have a listing coming on here. I'll put that in this one instead of something on that. Right. You start kind of like, okay. And then, okay, well, if we got a new listing, I would just move this one to another day and I would put that. Oh, great. We've got an open house. I'll put that over here instead. Right. And I was like, all right, this feels doable now. Before it felt very like I couldn't get to it. But now in looking at it by throwing in those Opus AI clip options and just saying, I mean, because Rick was doing the same thing. He's like, when am I going to record videos? I'm like, we've got like videos coming out our ears. Like, I was like, I do want you to go record some more, but
the part with the videos that I found is the preparation work so that when the actual recording takes place, you can just bust them out. So there's like maybe one day you figure out, okay, these are all the scripts that we want to do, or these are all the topics. And maybe you do some scripted, some of them more off the cuff, whatever. And then where do you want to shoot them? Do you want them all green screen or do you want some more organic sitting in your kitchen or in your living room or whatever? And then you figure out where, so you do the 4 that are going to be, green screen, do those there. And then whatever 3 or 4 you're going to do, or however many that are going to be more organic. Maybe you're sitting at the park, maybe you're out walking around, whatever.
Yep.
And then once you have all the planning part of it done, then you figure out what are your topics that you're going to talk about in each location or each set. And then there's teleprompters that are free. I use
I love mine.
Yeah, I use BigVoo, and you can record on your iPad. That's where I've recorded all of mine.
Yeah, I used it's teleprompter. It's just an app on my phone. But I like it because I can also use it on my iPad, which is bigger, in case somebody needs it. And then I bought these little guys. And so they're the little wireless lavaliers, but it connects to the bottom of the phone. But this one comes with 2 because the problem was we were recording Rick and his son when they were door knocking, and they're always in the freaking wind and you can't hear them and it's awful. And so now we've got it so that whenever they're doing it, they both can wear the little thing and we can hear them so much better, right? Whenever they're doing it. And I said, I told him, I said, we're getting better, right? And I said, we just need to better prepare. But the same thing, like when we were at Build, somebody kind of gave a whole sample. I think it was Mike Sherrard, it might have been Mike Sherrard. He gave us like a whole example of all the videos you should have on your, I'm going to see if I can find it. You should have on your YouTube channel. All of the ones that no matter what you should have on your YouTube channel, so that if you are pushing people back, that's what you have. Oh, you have a client calling. Gotta go. See ya. Go. Bye. That it was like a sample, and Tara, I'm going to look for it so I can give it to you.
Okay.
And it was like, no matter what, you should have these on there about your location, so that if you're going to push people back to your YouTube channel for the team or whatever it is, that it's like all the special things that you would want to be able to push them back and see videos for. And they were, I mean, it was just like, that was what I told Rick. I was like, we've got to start here. Like, no matter what, we would want them to be like, what makes it special about buying in Fremont? Or if you've got multiple towns, and you've got to do them for each town. Right. And he was like, whoa. And I was like, hey, it gives us a place to start. Right. Like, what makes it so special to live there? And and then it was like pros and cons and, you know, different things about each one. Trying to find it because it was at Build. I'm like, oh, we took like, what we do is when we go, Rick, Casey and I, we share in our thing, like all the things that we're like all excited about. And then we got like 9,000 photos from the, you know, from the thing in there. I'm like, great. But he said the key is to keep like those basics. And I will tell you this because I coached someone that started doing it. And then what happened was she was putting everything in their YouTube channel. And it was just, Rick had the same problem when I first started with him. It was just a long stream of videos. Please use playlist in your YouTube channel because what happens is it's just like she had everything mixed up and it was like, here's my listings, here's information on the town, here's this, and it was like, brrr, and you had to like to find a video, it was like impossible. I had the same thing on our Empire Builders page and I was like, oh my God, you have to scroll, like there's hundreds of videos on there. And instead now I have playlists, like now there's a playlist that says Free Friday Coaching Call. And now there's one that says Builders Best Practices Calls. So if you had multiple towns, you would be like Fremont and San Jose and Pleasant Hill and Walnut Creek, or you know, information about this. And so you would break them up in playlists so that when someone got to the channel, it would be far more, you know, visible for them to get to what they needed to get to. Hang on, let me see if this is it. Sure. No, that was when Casey was at her thing. Let me make sure I'm getting it. I will find it. I want to make sure.
So where do you come up with all your content that you guys decide to shoot on and just kind of?
Rick usually does it off the cuff. I am not much of an off the cuff kind of person. I use a lot of Chat GPT, and then I use it for the basics, and then I kind of go through and try to make it sound a little bit more like him. So like I'll take it and I'll give it to what it says to me, and then I'm like, okay, you're gonna have to make that a little bit more like because he's like that, which you can do, right? It'll give it to you and I'll like make it sound a little more happy or a little bit more friendly, and it'll like change it again, and then I'll still go back in and throw it into like a Google Doc, and then I'll edit a little bit more to make it sound a little bit more like him. And then even Casey will go back in and she'll change it a little bit more. But I like Chat GPT for that because most of the time it's choosing it, because I'll say write it for a buyer, like, you know, and I'll ask it to write it as though I want it to be for someone who's going to ask those kinds of questions. The prompt is very important. And it's pulling that based on people's searches out there, right? Specifically for what people would be looking for. And that's why I do that. It's like, I feel like when I'm using it for that, it's based on the reality of what people are really looking for versus just what I might be hearing.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's important. And sometimes I get caught up on just what I'm hearing. And I think we need to be more aware of like what's really possible. And sometimes you just don't think about everything, right? My husband's huge with Chat GPT. So he's always out there kind of, and reminding me sometimes, he's like, did you think to use Chat GPT just to think of anything else that maybe you're not considering? And I'll be like, no. You know? I'm like, I did not.
I find myself getting in there more each day. So I'm getting there. It's all new.
It's like a rabbit hole.
You
know, it can be really hard because you can get lost in there. And so I have to be aware that like sometimes I can get stuck in there, and I'm like, oh, there's so much to learn and do in there. But there are other times I'm like, why didn't I utilize that? Because I can get so much out of it so quickly. And sometimes I'll spend a lot of time Googling on my own and researching and trying to write content for something. And that's not what I do for a living. It's literally not my job. I don't write content for a living. So I'm like, why am I not utilizing something that is designed to make me do this faster and smarter? So I'm trying to get back into the habit of it. And now because it's built into a lot of things, like what was I in the other day? Oh, I was in Eventbrite and I was building out an event, and it said, would you like to use AI to help you better word the write-up for this event? And I was like, yes. Because I was over there trying to write a description, right? I was like, what do I want to say? What do I want to, you know? And it was pretty good. I mean, I made a couple of little edits, but like it had already taken into account what was in my graphic, what
Mhm.
was in like just the title of what I had and everything. And it was like, it made this really great write-up. And I was like, here I was like trying to like, what do I want to, you know? And I love that they build it in. It's built into Canva now. You've got
Mm.
all of this stuff now that is using it to kind of help you work a lot smarter. And they're just taking into account whatever you're putting in your graphic designs or what's in your pictures or what's in your logo and what's in this stuff. And now they're like, how can we help you work more efficiently now? And they're building it into all of these different systems that we're already using.
Yeah.
It's insane. Well, did you have something in particular that you wanted to bring today that you had a question on?
No, like I said, I'm still in the learning stage. I am trying to figure everything out. So I love jumping on these meetings that any and all that I can, so I can learn as much as I can to start implementing. Shay's kind of focusing a lot right now on the agent attraction side. So just trying to get more up and running. And I have been trying to kind of figure out ClickFunnels, and
Oh,
that's another whole rabbit hole and a lot to that.
I know. There's here, I just found the picture, so I want to make sure I get it.
Okay.
Why is it saying? Saying it didn't come through, and I want to make sure it did, so I can share it with you. Why is it not letting me attach it here? Here it goes. You may have to just, oh, that's really big. You may have to just take a screenshot. Let's see. It'll let me do this. Okay, can you see this?
Oh, yep, now I can.
Okay. Somebody's head's in this one.
We-
So he was like, these are all the things you need to have no matter what on your YouTube channel. And I think I can probably find this and send this to you because they shared all of the slides from Build on their website whenever they
Okay.
were done. So I'll find it and get you the actual slide, but this could
Well,
get
I
you
can
started.
look for it too.
Yeah,
That's not
this
a
was, I think
problem.
this was on day one.
Okay.
And it was like, so I told Rick, I was like, this is what we start doing. This is one video, right? Cost of living in Fremont in 2023, or, pros and cons of living in Fremont, California in 2023. Here's the 10 things you need to know. And by the way, so you just like start looking this up on ChatGPT and you say, develop me a script about, the pros and cons of living in, so that's what I started doing. I was like, okay, I'm just going to start building out Google Docs for each one of these things and like looking in ChatGPT for building out a script for it. And then like, what would that look like? And they don't have to be long videos. And then I said, okay, well, what kind of things would I want in the background if we wanted to put the white screen behind them and show like, what would I want to have in the background if that was what I wanted, if we wanted to have pictures behind them or anything about it. Would I want to do it in person, or would we want to have like flyovers of Fremont, or, we started like trying to think about what that would look like and developing it. But this is what he was saying, like bare minimum on your YouTube channel, this is what you would want. So that no matter what, if you had little blips going out there and you're pointing them back to YouTube, you would want a buyer or a seller to always come back and see this kind of data on your YouTube channel, because it would be very powerful for a buyer or a seller. And I was like, okay, that's fair. I would totally think, wow, this person's got a lot of information about the towns that I'm looking at, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay,
Absolutely.
this is where we start, right? Like our YouTube channel does not have this. All it has is like, oh, please see our house for sale at 123 Main Street.
Yeah.
Who cares after it's sold? Right? Like, who cares? Nobody ever cares again after it's done. There's literally nothing else they would ever want on our YouTube channel for sales after that. Like, I was like, he's so right. I was like, crap, we have a lot of work to do. That's all I could think of. And so that's what I said to Rick. I said, I went and I bought the screen, and I've got these little lights now that provide better light. And I got these, and I was like, look, we'll just take 2 days and we'll knock out as many as we can. And then we'll take another 2 days, we'll knock out as many as we can. He's doing door knocking at a really high level in this one particular neighborhood with 750 houses. So I said, let's get serious about doing that neighborhood. right? And do it
Mhm.
while you're there. So start with a little bit. Don't make it so overwhelming, because I told him, I was like, look, we'll just do a little bit, and then we'll choose another 2 days further down the road. We'll just do a little bit more, and we'll just keep chipping away at it until we get, we get a good library going. And then every time that we do one of those little snippets, the idea is that we just pull them back to the YouTube channel. If we're doing any kind of a snippet that we're putting out there on TikTok that's about buying or selling in that area, the goal is that in there's a link for them to get back to the YouTube channel, and all of that stuff is always going to point them back to our website, right? Everything on your YouTube channel videos would point them to, if you would like to learn more, call us here to set up an appointment, or go to our website to look up more about, buying or selling or whatever, because then they'd have to register. So I know it always feels like a lot, but then I said to myself the other day, I was like, same thing with anything else. We make a system. And for me, I don't know about you, but I just love checking things off of a list. So
Yes.
I said to myself, I was like, I'm just going to make a list of it.
Here's my, oh, you can't really see my
Yeah.
list.
And I'm like, that's what I said. I was like, when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, that's so much work. And then I thought, I'll make the list. When we get a couple of videos done, I'm not going to panic about it. It's 2 more than we had.
Yeah.
Right. And then we'll do another 2, and then we'll do another 2, and then we'll do another 2. And then I'll feel better about, hey, it's 2 more than the 0 that we had. And then we have 4, I'll be like, win, and then win, and then win. And each time we'll get better and better at it, because I told Rick, I was like, we won't be great at it the first time. And I mean, obviously those first couple of times I was like, all I hear when you guys are talking is the wind. So I immediately got on and got these. I was like, all I hear is in the background. I was like, because it was Glenn Sanford, actually, I saw wearing them on his lapel at Build, and I was like, $20 for a pack of 2.
Yeah.
That's it. And I knew, because Rick was like, oh my God, you're spending so much money. How much did you spend on those? I was like, they're $20. They're literally they're $20. So I hope that helped you today a bit.
Yes.
Yeah. So start with somewhere.
That's, good ideas. I was taking notes the whole time, and yeah, I'm gonna get on some of these sites that you mentioned and look at things. So yeah, the Opus AI.
It's
sure.
cheap. It's cheap depending on how many hours of video you want to upload. Like, so I think I was doing it even free in the beginning when we were just trying it out. And now, because I'm uploading so many, I think I'm paying like $19.99 a month. Because I'm doing quite a few videos that I'm uploading into it. Oh my God, it's so great though. I mean, I like, and it just spits out, like the other day, it spit out 26 videos of one of them. And I was like, and they were so good, right? They were so good. And I just immediately download them. I love it that it names them for me already. And I just throw them in the Google Drive, and I'm like, this is saving me so much time.
Yes.
I'm not splicing them. I don't have to do, I don't have to name them. I don't have to do anything. And I was like, oh, this is like heaven.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that.
Yeah,
I'm
good.
gonna look
All
at
right.
that
Well,
first.
if you think of anything you need, yeah, I know. Start there. All right. Well, if you think of anything you need, just let me know.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Talk to you later.
Have a good weekend.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye.